The issue of gay marriage keeps coming up over and over again, has for the last several years, between Prop 8 and legalizing it in some states on the East Coast, and the recent issue with North Carolina's Amendment 1, and President Obama and Joe Biden making their statements to the press, and Mitt Romney then following up with his own backward statements. The issue just keeps coming up, keeps coming up. So because of that, my next article that will be appearing on Godswill Ministries website is going to focus on that. And I want to give you a preview of just a little statement, a little piece of that article. Not the whole article, just a little piece of it. Something that I wrote in the article concerning the issue of gay marriage and the right-wing position that they are simply defending traditional Christian marriage. And here's what I wrote. Yet what does the term traditional Christian marriage even mean? Christ himself never mentions homosexuality, even in passing in any of the canonical Gospels. Paul buttresses the OT idea that man laying with man is anathema, but neither the Old nor the New Testament ever says that the church has a stake in it. In fact, there is reason to believe that the story of Jonathan and David found in 1 and 2 Samuel recounts a possibly reciprocal love affair between those two men. Then there is what the Bible actually does say about traditional marriage. It is true that the Bible does acknowledge the right of men to take women as their wives. The oft-quoted verse from the book of Matthew, 19:5, says, "A man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh." However, the Bible also supports other kinds of marriage. Numbers 31 and Deuteronomy 21 both support men taking wives as chattel from the vanquished enemy camps. One chapter later, Deuteronomy says that rapists must marry their victims and pay a fee to her father. In fact, the idea of men paying women's fathers for the right to marry continued for centuries in the form of dowries. Many cultures, including many American subcultures, have engaged in arranged marriages for centuries. In fact, in the 18th and 19th centuries, it was not uncommon in the South for American families to arrange marriages between second and even first cousins. But getting back to the Bible, Exodus 21 actually advocates the right of slave owners to pair off male and female slaves. Genesis 38 makes it behooved on the brother of a dead man to marry his widow. Several biblical heroes, including Abraham and Solomon, had numerous concubines, and others, including Solomon and David, engaged in polygamy. Next, let's take a look at just what exactly actually Jesus has to say about marriage as an institution. In just one book alone, Matthew, Jesus says that it's better to be a eunuch than to marry, that abandoning one's family for Jesus is a good thing, that God does not recognize marriage in the afterlife, and in chapter 25, he tells a parable about a polygamous marriage without ever condemning the idea. Finally, it might interest one to know that there is strong evidence unearthed by Yale historian John Boswell that homosexual marriage rites were commonplace in the Christian liturgies for at least 4 centuries during the European Dark Ages. Additionally, numerous examples of later same-sex unions exist in the records of numerous Christian churches throughout Europe, including the Vatican, where they appear as late as the 18th century. Bottom line, the idea of traditional marriage being between one man and one woman is a modern political and social construct with no historical or biblical justification. Please, Christians, stop using it to justify your hypocrisy and bigotry. One point that I didn't even make in that article is that given the fact that this is a non-Christian nation, this is a secular nation, it shouldn't even matter, even a little bit, that the Bible might be in any way opposed to homosexuality. That shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't even be considered. Religion Christian religion is opposed by and large to divorce. People still divorce. Christian marriage is opposed, or Christian teaching is opposed to remarriage. People remarry. Nobody passes constitutional amendments against it. Nobody passes defensive marriage acts that say you can't divorce, you can't remarry. So the hypocrisy just continues. It just goes on and on and on. When you get right down to it, if you're not gay, then gay marriage is just marriage that you wouldn't choose for yourself. But that doesn't mean you get to not choose it for others. On a side note, there's something that I came across recently that I want to touch on. In my home state of Ohio, I recently went to a Obama rally, the initial Obama rally of the campaign at Columbus, at Ohio State University. And while I was there, there were people going around passing around a petition, asking people to put their names on a petition to get the gay marriage issue back on the ballot in Ohio. In 2004, Ohio passed legislation making it constitutionally in Ohio illegal for marriage to be defined as anything except for between a man and a woman. And that year was also a presidential year. It was the Republicans that put it on the ballot then. And what ended up happening is that a lot of Republicans used that wedge issue to bring a lot of other Republicans to the ballot. And while they were there, they voted against Senator Kerry and for George W. Bush. And we all know how disastrous that was. So Mike DeWine has approved the language for this bill. And if they get enough signatures, they're going to put it on the ballot. I'm just asking that you hold off on that until next November, not this coming November, not November 12, but November 13. Because if you put it on, you don't want to put it on the May ballot, really. If you put it on the May ballot, all you'll get is elderly people coming to the ballot and vote. But young people do not vote in May. So if you save it for November, when there's no risk of it affecting a presidential or any other major elections. There's no governor election in 13. I don't think there's any really important statewide elections for, there might be some state senate or something like that elections, but nothing statewide that affects the country. So, yeah, if you would hold off on putting that on the ballot, and then do your GOTV, concentrate on GOTV as hard as possible, then you may have some success with that. And that's what I encourage you to do. That's how I don't know how the planners for this are planning on doing it, but that's what I would encourage. So, yeah, that's my take on this, and thank you for your time. Bye-bye.